Hi, Neil. Thanks so much for joining me on Her Profit Era today. Could you share a little bit about yourself and how you support your clients?
Hey Cindy, yeah, totally. Thanks for having me. So, my name is Neal Huey, and I have a business, Quantum Scaling, where we work with people that make money with their face online, essentially all shapes and sizes of personal brands, people that have consulting agencies, coaches, businesses where their face is typically in ads or they're running social media, but we clone them into AI, into their video version of AI, and then we put a strategy in place of how we can execute on um, essentially being on 10 stages at once without having to film, driving sales across the board on autopilot. Pretty cool stuff.
That is so cool. Neil and I had connected at the Rich Girl Conference in New York, and your presentation was just like mind-blowing.
Yeah, it was awesome being up there at that conference, at the Rich Girl Conference, because really just a perfect use case of people that are busy with their day to day. They're building their businesses. They have a lot of the people in the audience were moms with kids, right? And so
Right.
um, people just don't have the time to sit down and film anymore when they're doing running everything at once.
What made you get into like this kind of work?
Well, I had a background in software sales, and that got me exposed to just kind of architecture and systems thinking and like solving problems for founders of businesses and saving time, looking for efficiencies, things like that. And then at the same time, I had started a couple of e-commerce businesses. One of them I got up to seven figures. I was doing
Wow.
TikTok Shop, and like I was posting 10 times a day at the height and it was just crazy. I was burned out. I enjoy content, but still having to record 10 scripts a day was crazy. And so at the same time, I had started learning about HeyGen and some of the other tools that were coming into the market with AI. And so I started to integrate these into my content systems. And then I just realized that, I was able to make just as good, if not better content with my AI clone. And so I kind of pivoted at that moment from being a content creator and working in e-commerce to going and working with personal brands and people that are really have a super big need for scaling their face online.
That is so cool. And do you feel like it's like evolving as more people are getting into it and like the awareness is more now?
The awareness is absolutely taking off. I even see ads, and for anyone that's watching this right now, you're probably going to see some ads as well around different solutions that exist in the market. And I think with any market, there's a whole spectrum of sophistication and like the actual services delivery, and you just have to think about like what's right for you. Like there's a bunch of AI UGC apps that now exist where you could load in an image of yourself, image of it, or create from a list of actors and then make content, right? That content
Wow.
you could create a faceless channel with someone else's face. You could create ads with your face, but the art that I really kind of pride myself in is staying at the forefront of like what tools are out there and then being that strategy layer, like the operating consultant, because it just keeps evolving so fast. And so I just focus really on two things. One is the time savings, and number two is the sales. And then in the middle, there's the medium of like the video and how we're actually positioning those into like marketing strategies for businesses. And so I think just every business has a different strategy, and you just have to think about like what is right for you, because if you make money with your face, you need to go through a very diligent process to clone yourself at the highest version of yourself so that no one can tell that it's AI. And today, there's not like any tools out of the box that make that super easy, and that's where I come in. So I help people to go through a process and do that and set all that up. But if your business is like just driving traffic and awareness to some candle company that you might have, right? And it doesn't
Right.
really matter who the spokesperson is for the candle company or a nonprofit, right? Or something like that. Or, even some of the girls that we met are in like tax and accounting, or you're in tax and accounting, right?
Yeah, if I
And
am.
and and so you could even create like some spokespeople that just maybe narrate news in tax and accounting, but you don't want to be the face of that. So like you can get creative with ways to kind of use these AI actors um, in your business to ultimately drive up traffic and then work on how to convert that traffic to whatever your offer or your sale service is.
How do you still keep like that personal kind of human connection in the AI clone? Like, let's say, for example, I start to do the AI cloning. I'm really like personable with like the people that I work with on Instagram. So how would people still connect with me even though it's like an AI clone?
So I'm a big believer that you shouldn't automate your entire personality with AI to start.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you want a completely faceless AI channel, like that channel will just be kind of robotic. Like, there are
Right.
humanizing things that you can do to make it less AI, but people are becoming more sophisticated in spotting AI and understanding what AI is. Um, and so, what I've done to make my clients' AIs and their content more humanized is a couple things. Number one, it all starts with the script. So, like, if you think about the words that the AI is saying, it needs to sound like something that that person would say. It needs to have the right mannerisms and the inflection points. And this is where I find that most AI typically fails because it just kind of comes off like it reads the script like a robot, right? And
Right.
so I actually have a team behind me, and we will. Step one is we'll create the person's AI at the highest caliber, but then step two is we have to produce the AI asset. So we actually take that script and we go into 11 labs and we have a professional voice clone that's like super fine-tuned and calibrated for
Wow.
that person with hours and hours of their footage through a professional mic that sounds nice and clear. And we're manually actually hitting every single line to make sure that there's no weird inflection points, that it flows and weaves correctly. And again, our clients are typically 7, 8+ figure entrepreneurs that like their time to actually sit down and film is like very
Yeah.
valuable. And so like we'll gladly take this on as a service. And I have employees that, are just trained to go in there and produce these videos. So I mean, back to the authenticity part though, it's around understanding like how you create the script based on the intelligence of the person and like what makes them them. Like so you have your brand docs, your tone of voice, your
Right.
mannerisms, how you speak, different things that you can maybe the easiest thing to do here is like maybe make like a Claude AI project and you just load
Yeah.
in a bunch of docs. You ask Claude. I mean, ask be a strategist with your AI chat. Be like, hey, I need you to be a strategist to help me build out my AI brain. I need a bunch of different knowledge base articles around what are things that make me me that would help you with script writing for me. Right. And then just
Right.
complete the list and just go build a bunch of assets. And then now you can go find inspiration from like videos online, perhaps, and say, well, hey, let's remix a video in my tone of voice, get that script. Written. And then I guess the last piece though is like aside from producing it, it's actually um how it looks and how it like kind of comes together. And there's just you have to have a certain way that you're looking at editing these videos. For example, a tip here is like we will not let the AI talk any more than like 4 to 6 seconds before we then flip and put
Okay.
some type of B-roll on or like or some type of other visual guide. And we only show the parts of the AI that look genuine, right? So
Right.
if I'm sitting here expressing with my hands, I might start like counting for no reason. And like, it's like, wait, why is the AI counting for no reason? So we'll put like a
Yeah.
B-roll over that, right? But then we'll leave the part that I get really excited and like wave my hands in a perfect way, like because that just was like a good natural thing. So there's just every part of the process that we go through has like very nuanced pieces to keep it all, to keep it very authentic, basically.
And then do you just repurpose all of that content on your different channels?
So the there's two main use cases for AI clones, AI clone video marketing that I'm seeing. One is with ads, and the other is with
Okay.
organic social media. And so, very clear different use cases. The With ads, we can do some really cool stuff like we can split test a bunch of different hooks, different outfits, different messages throughout the script, different scripts entirely. The algorithm is really favoring like the marketing algorithm like inside of Meta's ad accounts now is really favoring like a lot of creative variety with the
Okay.
Andromeda. There's an update that happened called the Andromeda update, and there's a Lattice update. It's basically like four parts of like a bigger AI rollout that Meta's been doing the last couple of years with the way that they like organize their ads. And so basically what this means though is that you now have to give the engine more shots at bat, more creative variety to
Yeah.
align the messaging to where it needs to go, right? And so this is a beautiful use case with AI because now you can just create 10 different variations of the script, make it 10 different ways, edit it,
Right.
load it in there, and then like that person never actually had to go like sit down and film the ad. Um, so that's number one use cases with ads, but ads are definitely more effective when you start to flywheel them with organic as well, right?
Yes.
So the sweet spot of people that I'm working with, they're running ads. They also have some type of long form YouTube at the top, typically that's like really just building nice trust and authority. They're sitting here listening to podcasts like this, learning. But then you have the short form, right? And so the short form with social media is when we make one asset, we typically repurpose it across all the platforms, right?
Right.
And what I have found, and look, I'm in some really high level masterminds. Like I'm in Iman Gadzhi's mastermind, for example. And
Well,
like I remember asking him on like a coaching call, I was like, okay, does it matter if you manually post it versus if you post it with like something like Metricool or one of any of these scheduling tools, right? And the
yeah.
short answer is like, yes, it does matter. Like if you have, but the key is, can you afford the infrastructure, and is it worth the lift that you'll get? Meaning that Iman Gadzhi's team, for example, he has a whole team of people doing short form clipping and reposting, and they're manually logging into phones and posting these videos
Yeah.
because they've tested this, and you do in fact get more reach when you do things natively in the algorithm, right? So I have tested this as well, and it's I have it built into the back end of our systems, but for clients that do um, maybe one core like format, and then they just want to be as effective as possible. Like it doesn't hurt to
Yeah.
turn on something like Repurpose IO or Metricool or like any of these, let's load it in once and then schedule it across 5 ways to TikTok, to YouTube Shorts, to LinkedIn even, right? And then
Yeah.
like of course like Facebook and Instagram. One food for thought here, and just like a little, this is just something that I've learned being exposed to these like high level personal brands, is that with short form for YouTube though, you actually don't want to flood a bunch of repurposing on your main YouTube channel. Just because if you think about the audience that you want to attract into this video that's being probably watched on YouTube right now, you want high
Right.
quality people that are not like dopamine addicts. They can actually
Yeah.
like sit there and like make it past the hook and like make it all the way through this video and hear what we're saying. Whereas like if you're bringing in audience from shorts on TikTok, sorry, on shorts on YouTube, and you're getting subscribers, they're not really the subscribers that you really want on that long form YouTube channel. You
Got
know,
it. That
so
makes sense.
so there's certain that's the only caveat there, but yeah, otherwise I would say just repost away. Like it doesn't hurt, right? If you edit it once and
Yeah.
it might as well maximize your chance to go viral.
And is it sustainable to be like posting that much content? Because I know burnout is like real when people start posting like 3 times a day, it's not sustainable like in the long run. Is it more of like just not having the time to do it and versus using the AI clone, it'll be more sustainable?
So I think that as business owners reach a certain point, you start you start investing into different operations, right?
Right.
And looking for ways to buy back your time, to buy back your sanity, like
Yeah.
um and and I think that the AI clone is not going to be a magic pill solution for a lot of
Yeah.
people. Um, Regardless of how good the platforms and the softwares are out there, what really matters the most is the strategy and the execution behind like what is the plan that needs to happen, whether it's an AI clone or a person filming. Like there's
Right.
still a fundamental like marketing strategy that has to be mapped out and executed on, and and that's gonna vary depending on who the business is for. You know, um, Something like with a very specific niche, this can be more automated. Like I have a channel that I was testing out where I was just taking all the latest AI news. Every single day there was AI news. And
Yeah.
then we would run that through a prompt and we'd build a script, and then my AI would be narrating the news. And I
Wow.
never even, and like I had my teammates doing this for me, right? So we built a
Right.
system where they're like every day they log in, they see what news is trending, they pulled the best one that's like most aligned with like kind of a, the audience, and then we would make it and then edit it and post it. And I had
Yeah.
this where I wasn't even like I wasn't even watching the videos. Like I would just I got them to where like I trusted them so much that like I would see my
Wow.
face popping up on social media on my other account. I'm like, that's crazy. Um, but I know people that are doing this at like at a very massive scale. Like one of my friends, Icon, he's got an account. They same thing. They grew like 200,000 followers in like 6 months
Wow.
doing this. They got reposted on Joe Rogan actually. Like they took his AI video and Joe Rogan
Yeah.
reposted it. And so anyways, back to your question though, like you have to have the strategy or else the burnout, you're going to get burned out if the strategy's bad. So I think
Right.
step one is
Yeah.
figuring out the strategy, but then once the strategy's working, the AI clones and like using AI to replace yourself visually out of the content system. Like just imagine where the founder sits in the content system. And it's just about
Yeah.
like piping off a little workflow so that like that founder, instead of getting sent a list of scripts that they need to go turn on their
Ugh.
camera, get this light set up, get their hair
Yeah.
cut, like, instead of doing all that, just pipe off another workflow to one of your employees or to like our team. And so we do
Yeah.
this as a service for people. Like one of my clients, so he's a 9-figure client, and like he has a he has a full stack team, right? He's got people doing the scripts, he's got people doing the editing, but
Wow.
we're just right in the middle where they'll send us the scripts and then we'll fine tune and do the AI and then send the AI version of them back to editing. And like that way that founder just never has to film anymore, right? And like so
That's so
that's like
cool.
yeah, that's the simplest way to look at it. But yeah, burnout, right? I mean, look, everyone's gonna be marketing this that like, oh, this is how to 10x your content and like,
Yeah.
save the burnout, never be burned out again. But like if you're running
Right.
an online business, like there's so much stuff happening all the time that like this is just one of those things that you can help to reduce and take off your plate. So you're not gonna get
Right.
burned out by now having to stress out about doing your hair and makeup and going and turning on the camera every Saturday or whatever
The
your
girl math.
frequency is. Yeah, exactly.
That totally makes sense. And do you recommend this works well for like personal brands or like any type of business?
So any type of business that has marketing needs can go test
Okay.
these tools, right? Like you can go create an AI actor. Um, I personally have tested a bunch. I still continue to like HeyGen the most. I've been around the block. I just tested like 6 UGC platforms last week. Creatify wasn't bad either. Um, and then even so much as to, have you heard of Nano Banana? Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
Not a fruit. It's it's a Google platform. It's a Google image model, and there's always like every month or two there's a new thing being released. And so one of the most recent things was Google released Nano Banana, which you can access this through. I like Free Pick, and I also like Higgsfield. And this is just like some game right here. So you can go into either
Mhm.
one of these tools. You can type a prompt, generate me an AI actor to Nano Banana, and then you could say, you could take a picture of like this neuro gum. Like let's say this was my company, and I could be like, put this gum in my hand, and then it will put this in my hand in the AI.
Wow.
And then
Yeah.
so you can make a bunch of different scenes, like depending on what your business is, right? If you're an e-commerce
Yeah.
business, you can now make fake characters, put your product in the picture, and then bring them to life. And then like I could also be like, change my shirt. And this is a test that I'm not AI because my shirt is staying the same. But
Yeah.
you could change the shirt, and then within Higgsfield, you can bring that to life. And then or you could bring it to life with lip syncing, actually talking, and like and HeyGen is a really good one. There's several, every UGC platform out there, you can like bring an audio to life. Um, oh, but yeah, so back to the question of like, is this for everyone? I would say everyone can use this. The use cases are just completely different. And then specifically cloning yourself, like your face and your audio, at the
Yeah.
highest level, I would say that is, you know, that's probably the clearest use case if people are like, okay, I'm making money now. I want my time back. I don't like filming. Um, and they can go, they can try this themselves. I would recommend everyone to go try it. Like there's so much cool things that you can do with it. Um, but the reality is, it's pretty current state today. It's pretty difficult to pull off. So it's one of those things where that's why I decided to like build a specialty around this because I make it
It's
easy.
so like fascinating. Could you like walk me through the steps? Like, say I was to invest in this. What does like the
Mhm.
timeline look like? What would I need to do? What does your team do for me? And then how do you guys create the content after?
So we have a two-part process. Step one, we take people through what we call the Elite Clone Accelerator. And so that process, we actually look at their whole content strategy. We look at their social media, their ad account. We've understood now through several conversations, typically, like what their goals are, where their challenges are with content systems, if it's filming, if they're looking to scale more ads, et cetera. And then we'll reverse engineer the exact scenes that we need to recreate into AI. And so our team will then go and either look for assets that exist on YouTube or their social media that we can actually just extract and pull from. Or we'll set up a photo shoot and typically do this in like a professional podcast studio somewhere just to make sure that like all the lighting and the audio is super dialed in. And
Yeah.
then just get several scenes. Now, again, it just depends on their brand. So like I had one 2 days ago that her brand is like she travels a lot and she's always on her phone and like so therefore like we're not going to put her in a podcast studio because it would look out of place. So it's like, hey,
Right.
let's just set up a virtual coaching session in your house. Um, we had one of her friends there. We had two cameras and like just made it look really natural. And so, anyways, we process all that. So we get a bunch of scenes together visually, and then we also go process hours of their audio. And so this is because 11 Labs is very finicky. And what I found is that if you use the same microphone and it's consistently um, it's not changing, like you're not messing with the settings, it doesn't sound like sometimes if you use a mic and you like clip it on and you go do content outside and then sometimes you're inside, sometimes the
Yeah.
equalizer is turned up to like 8, sometimes it's at 2, whatever. Like you just want the same consistent microphone in a nice
Right.
quiet environment. And if you can get an hour of that into 11 Labs, and we do some like kind of where we actually use Descript too to like, and a couple other tools to really help like calibrate the um the the sound as well as like the pacing and the speed within the audio. Because if you think about uh audio, well, if you think about AI in general, your outputs are typically only as good as your inputs. AI is really like a mirror or a reflection of like what you give it. And so we want to make sure it's like, yes, it's a technology thing, but it's really more of like an artistic vision thing of like, okay, what are all the different scenes that we want to transform into AI, right? Okay, what is that exact sound that we need to curate, you sounding the best, right? And we put both of those together alongside a strategy of then like, what would that plan be to go execute on generating scripts to turn out typically like 20, 30, 50 plus videos per month or what our clients are contracting to.
Right.
There's different packages depending on the different needs. So we'll take them through a setup and then we'll put a whole plan together. And we call this the quantum scaling action plan. And so basically people could kind of walk away at this part and say, great, now you've set up all of our tools and our assets. We've got some sample videos. We know how to use it. They could go, do their own editing process. Or ideally, they would see that there's value in just working with us because there are some nuances to processing with AI. And then we can just ramp up towards whatever kind of business goals they have.
That's so cool. And then is it just like a one-time kind of initial investment working with you, or is there like monthly maintenance with like creating more content on a monthly basis?
So think about it like a one-time professional consulting and software setup fee where we're gonna, and to be clear, I'm not a software company. I set up all the necessary softwares to put the whole thing together, to put the whole system together, right? And
Okay.
so there's a one-time investment, and this ranges. I'm not going to say exactly what it is because by the time this airs and someone's listening to it,
Yeah.
like the literally the tech and the offering keeps changing, and it's really more just like market conditions and kind of how everything's unfolding, which is super exciting. But it's there is an investment to get started, and it is a lot of time that we put into making sure that we're building the AI. And I think just if I had to ballpark, we probably put somewhere between 10, probably around like 10 to 15 hours per client into getting their AI set up properly. Just processing all their different assets, curating all the photo shoots, just every little piece that goes into it. If I had to put a time on it, and then so at that point though, then it's typically a monthly ongoing relationship, and you can think about us like a growth agency or a growth partner on the back end. And
Right.
so we have we're growing right now. I mean, we're expanding our team of editors. We have an agency with media buying in-house as well, and graphic design. And so for some clients, like we can do a um, full stack digital marketing strategy where we're managing their social media, we're making the assets, we're posting them, we're running their ads, we're optimizing the back end with funnels and go high level and all that. And then for other clients, it's just like aligning on like what is a specific number of videos or assets that they want, and like they just want us as like a part of the marketing machine, right? So it really just depends
Right.
on what people need, and then we'll calibrate a custom solution from there.
That makes sense. Do you think more personal brands will start investing into this? Like, for example, I'm just thinking of Alex Hormozy. Like, he has a full like marketing production team. He has so much content out there. Do you think this is something he would eventually implement?
My
If
dog
you have
just
like the, that's
my
okay.
dog just mess. Yes, he's already done it actually. I have a screen recording somewhere of Alex Hormozy as an AI in one of his ads.
Oh wow.
Um,
I
so
would have
like
never
he,
guessed that.
yeah, so like this particular ad I'm referencing, it was clearly AI. I could tell, and he was just standing there like waving his arms around. He might have even said it was AI, but regardless, it's like it's definitely happening. I think the biggest thing that people are concerned about, which is a valid concern, is just like, will it negatively impact my audience, my reach, my
Right.
relationships with the business that I've built? And my my counter to that, or my thought process there, is that if the quality of it sucks, then yeah, people are going to look at it and be like, oh, you're AI. But if it's good enough to where they can't tell that it's AI, and you can position it in a way that is more so like, hey, this just allows me to connect with you guys one on one at a deeper level to provide more value while my AI just does top of funnel content, right?
Right.
My AI just tests different ad hooks and angles because that's what we have to do to win now stepping into the future. This allows me to focus my time into catering to the people that actually pay me money, that I can actually serve like at a higher level or provide whatever kind of value or impact they're trying to bring into the world, right? So it's just about
Right.
understanding the positioning, and I think that the more and more people that start to do this, it's really kind of it's going to happen in like a domino effect, and
Hmm.
I mean I'm already seeing it just because I'm super in the space, and like I see more and more brands, and I actually can't even tell the a lot of times now. I look at people's accounts and I'm like, are they AI or are they real? And like that's just how good it is now, you know?
That's crazy what the next 10 years are going to look like for content.
Yeah. There's there's another like thing that I believe will happen. Well, there's a lot of things I believe will happen. Um, One, I think that the internet will kind of, as we know it, will kind of break, and it will have to be reconstructed in some form. And
Wow.
and if you just think about like the supply and the demand of all the real estate on your social media, like if you're posting, if all these AI accounts are being created and posting 10 times a day, 10 times more,
Yeah.
there's just more and more competition, and there's only so much real estate and so much time that people can be exposed to whatever is Um, so I think that there's been a couple theories out there floating around, but the reality is like the AI content is so good and engaging that it does keep people on the platform. And these platforms, that's all they care about because they just want to make more money on
Right.
ads. And
Yeah.
and so I think that like in-person connection and in-person communities like matter more than ever right now. And I think that, the internet's just going to become a top of funnel like swimming pool for like a bunch of like super aligned messaging that really resonates with the exact audience. Um, because there's this guy, Preston Rhodes, that I follow. He's really young guy, pretty sharp, but he's got this he's gone down the rabbit hole talking about how AI is like this quantum mirror. And in the sense of the algorithm and the feed that you watch, it's just a reflection of the identity that like you are and that you want to become.
Right.
you know or and with the things that trigger you, that whatever, like every emotional part of your spectrum is like engineered into that algorithm. And so as a creator, as a business owner, you just have to think about like how do you make content that fits into people's algorithms, right?
Right.
And I think that there's some really interesting ways that you can ideate and research data at scale with a lot of different tools and like research automation bots that can go scrape all of your like top 100 competitors and like pull up like the top like 5 viral reels. And then you can take those and then remix them and make them into your own. So like I think the larger strategy of how you piece everything together is really where people need to lean in and like adopt. Everyone needs to become a creator scientist now,
Yeah.
and then just figure out how to best use the tools that they have at their disposal to just find as much leverage in their systems and their process as possible. And I think that the AI face and the clone is like a very key part to removing the biggest bottleneck, which is the typically the brand, having to sit down and film.
Yeah. How do you keep like that personalized like differentiation between yourself and another company in the same industry that is also using AI? Like, do you see like people kind of like their messaging, everything sounds the same, two businesses, same industry, now that more people are using like Chat GPT and
Mhm.
AI?
Yeah. So it's like, is every script like written the same and like feels the same
Yeah.
kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because you can see when people call this out in comments and stuff too. They're like, "Oh, this was definitely written by ChatGPT," and like,
Yeah.
um, there's certain giveaways, and you could even go down the rabbit hole of figuring out like what these giveaways are and try to just like make sure that your content is not doing these things, like the little I forget what it's called, the double hyphen, like the little
Oh yeah.
thing that like AI just loves to use, right? So just
Yeah. Just
everything
removing
that
those
I
kind of
do,
things.
yeah, yeah. So everything that I do with AI is like I'm always using AI to help me build prompts. And that's like one of my cheat codes is like I'll accomplish something, let's call it reverse engineering like a script. And then I'll be
Right.
like, okay, now that we have this script and you just went through like a couple different iterations of getting it perfect, like now can you put this in a prompt so that I could just hit a button and you would be able to recreate this exact script, framework by
Yeah.
framework by framework. And like it'll create a prompt that does that. And then you just fine tune that prompt a bit into your personalization point. You're like, okay, these are the things that I don't want you to do. I don't want you to speak like AI and do these weird AI things. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Now you hit it, you try it again, and it doesn't do those things. So it sounds a little bit more normal. And then you're like, okay, great. Now I also want you to make sure that you're referencing the brand document in our Claude project. Or I use a tool called Poppy AI, which is like a whiteboard, and so I can have a
Mhm.
chat here, and then I can have like knowledge base bucket one, knowledge base two, knowledge base three, and then I can have these kind of connecting to each one of these. And so the knowledge base one could be around different viral videos and inspiration and stuff that like we're kind of top of funnel for like what we're going to actually make. And then the second bucket could be like the actual brand messaging, the tone of voice, the ICP, like what are the mannerisms and things like that. And then the third bucket could be um, the like where you like house different frameworks or viral patterns or like rules for making it polished up. Like one of the things I like to do is every time I get a script, I'll go through and I'll have it simplify it down to like a sixth grade reading level. I'll have it
Right.
remove out like 30% of the fluff. I'll have it go through um and basically just make sure that there are open curiosity loops like that constantly get closed throughout the script. Like every hook should be kind of leaving them like, oh, what's coming next?
Yeah.
And so like those are like little simple rules that I build in there as like, so when you think about how all of that stacks together, if you have all of that knowledge fed into your AI and then you prompt your
Right.
AI to just go through and make sure that each check is being done, then the end result, that script should be, okay, we had some amazing, crazy viral topic here. Then we rewrote it in your voice with your specific products, related to it. And then we humanized it and simplified it and put it in terms that really make it like simple to understand. And so just going through multiple steps with your prompts instead of like just, hey, write me a script, like really will
Yeah.
help to not only humanize it, but like actually get it very, um, just get the quality like really dialed in, so that it sounds, it's like a very high performing script.
Yeah. It makes it sound like you have to be very intentional with it and put the time and effort into it.
Totally.
And in your like opinion, businesses that aren't implementing like AI or the AI clone, do you think they're going to be left behind, let's say the next like 3 to 5 years?
I don't think that it's the AI clones you have to worry about
Yeah.
necessarily. I think it's the way AI is evolving and the agentic nature of it. So when I say agentic, I mean like AI agents, which
Hmm.
AI agents is basically just when there's some type of workflow that's built that has critical thinking abilities and it's able to execute on not only getting from task A to Z, but understanding, well, along the way, we have to think, we have to process things, we have to iterate, calibrate, like a normal human trying to do a job, right?
Yeah.
And so, like across every single industry, there are different platforms emerging that are AI native that have these, agentic abilities, and like there's some that are just kind of specific use cases, like you're in accounting, right? And so accounting is a great use case because there's just constantly numbers and chart of accounts and different things that can be analyzed and done. And
Right.
then really the human is just more of an oversight and the strategist. Like, I don't think that it's going to completely replace everyone because this society is very much still human. Like we do need a
Yeah.
human review and a trust factor, especially when it comes to money too. Um,
Right.
but can 90% of accounting be automated? Yeah. Is that a scary thought for 90% of accountants? Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Um, you know, and like I have an accounting degree actually, now that we just kind of jumped in, but like yeah, I mean I remember my tax and like my audit classes and like my bookkeeping classes, and like if I could have had a bot go read that entire textbook and find everything and then just present me with what I need, like it's
Right.
really good at doing that, and it's good at finding the problems and just presenting you the problems, then you just approve them. And you know um, but yeah, so I think that people should like, there's no way to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
I left corporate because I couldn't stand how slow they were swimming, considering how fast
Yeah.
the world was moving. And I was just like, I have to go jump in and like go build a business in AI right now. And
Yeah.
so I think that is really the only way that you can like guarantee your safety net is by building your own business that's online somehow and
Hmm.
uses as much AI as leverage as possible. Because like now anyone has the tools to be a solo entrepreneur.
Right.
It's just a matter of getting the right guidance, listening to the right people, building the right thing, serving the right audience. Um, but like, yeah, AI can now like amplify. AI is gonna be really bad for employees, and it's really good for business owners. That's basically what it comes down to.
Right, more efficiency and saving
Yeah.
time. What is the best way for our audience to connect with you or learn more about like AI cloning?
So I would say connect with me on Instagram is probably where I'm most active. That's at Neal Vision, Neal Vision. Also on YouTube, just Neal Huey, Neal Huey, and getting the YouTube going right now. But there's by the time this is airing, there should be several videos that I have in the pipeline right now that will be breaking down essentially just different guides on how to clone yourself with AI, right? How to check out what we do at a deeper level.
Thank you so much, Neal. I'll share all of his details in the show notes. Thanks again, Neal.
Thank you, Cindy.